So Back to the Future, 1985. Let's start with the clock tower lady. She hands Marty McFly a newspaper, saying save the clock tower from being demolished and replaced. Well, the tower never got saved in the movie, so the real tower that needed saving was actually the Twin Towers themselves. The whole movie hints at this. The clock tower lady is going around raising money so that they don't replace the clock tower with another building. 30 years later, in real life, the Twin Towers get replaced with the Freedom Tower. It became known as the One World Trade Center. The Twin Towers got destroyed by terrorists, so they say, just like Marty and Doc got attacked by terrorists while at the Twin Pines Mall in the movie. The Twin Pines Mall even says 116, which is 9/11 upside down, on the mall sign in the parking lot. The Twin Pine Mall only becomes the Lone Pine Mall after Marty runs over one of the Twin Pines on Old Man Peabody's yard, altering the timeline, causing the mall to be renamed Lone Pine Mall upon his return. Even their stopwatches read 119 before they time travel, which is 9/11 backwards. You'll also see 11 made with the tire marks right next to the number 9 from the Western Auto neon sign, secretly hinting at 9/11, the day that we would remember as one of the most disturbing days in history. There's another scene in Back to the Future 2 where there's a Statue of Liberty, hand holding a torch, and even on the projector screen is the Twin Pines and the Twin Towers as well, recreating Manhattan itself in Marty's living room. The year 2001 hints at the collapse of dualities into a unified state. Every astronaut that went to the moon was either a Freemason or a son of a Freemason, a cult whose motto is making good men better by destroying the old self in order for a new one to emerge. That's why the towers were a 33-year project from construction to destruction, representing the 33 degrees of masonry. The moon landing was July 20th, 1969, which was the 201st day of the year. That's important because 9/11 happened in 2001, which encodes 2, 0, and 1, a Masonic code that represents separation and recombination. That's why Bill Gates called his pandemic simulation months before COVID broke out Event 201, because they like creating order out of chaos. Yuval Noah Harari, the Israeli author, said at the World Economic Forum in 2020 that every crisis is an opportunity. The Freedom Tower is the tallest building in America. It's 1,776 feet tall. 1776, the year America was created, after the Declaration of Independence was signed by George Washington, the Freemason, amongst others. If you look at the Freedom Tower from above looking down, you will see that it's 2 squares overlapping, almost like the hexagram, but it's 2 squares instead of 2 triangles. This echoes Joffre Boscard's esoteric painting of Gemini, exactly down to the unicorn and lion at the bottom of the painting. What we're looking at here is a visible contrast that illustrates polarity. On one side, a pyramid rooftop with its pointy tip representing the unicorn with its horn. On the other, a domed rooftop with its curved top representing the lion's mane. Between them, a vertical tower. Between the square base and the circular base, the point and the curve, the angle and the arc. The contrast is immediate. The pyramid rises from a square foundation. It is directional, linear, and ascending. It implies hierarchy, precision, and structure. Its tip narrows toward a singular point. The dome rests on a circular foundation. It curves, contains, diffuses. It implies enclosure, wholeness, and continuity. It has no sharp apex. It distributes force evenly. In traditional symbolic language, including Masonic symbolism, the square represents matter, structure, embodiment, groundedness. The circle represents mind, totality, imagination, diffusion. The tower standing between pyramid and dome becomes a visual metaphor, a vertical axis positioned between the geometry of containment and the geometry of ascent. Its purpose is not to merge one into the other. Its purpose is to stand between them, witnessing both. Point and main, angle and curve, square and circle. Gemini itself represents duality, twins, polarity, mirrored aspects of the self. But the lesson of Gemini is not fusion of opposites. It is awareness of dual structure. The unicorn and lion are not meant to annihilate one another. They frame the axis. Likewise, the pyramid and the dome do not need to merge. They define tension. The square base and the circular base represent two modes of organization. The square stabilizes the body in space. The circle stabilizes perception and continuity. When the square dominates without the circle, structure becomes rigid. When the circle dominates without the square, perception becomes ungrounded. Integration is not flattening the pyramid into a dome or forcing the dome into angles. It's the capacity to stand between them. The vertical axis, the witnessing point, is what allows this. Square body, circular mind, vertical awareness. This structure mirrors the relationship between waking and dreaming. Waking reality feels square, structured, linear, rule-bound. Dream reality feels circular, fluid, symbolic, non-linear. Most people collapse into one as real and dismiss the other. Lucidity occurs when awareness can witness both without collapsing into either, not denying waking, not denying dreaming, standing between them. The square does not become a circle, the circle does not become a square, but consciousness can recognize both as modes. This is the difference between fusion and integration. Fusion erases difference. Integration preserves difference while increasing mobility. It is the ability to move through all states while remaining whole. The pyramid's tip and the dome's curve do not need to reconcile geometrically. Integration is not their collapse. They need a vantage point that can see both without threat. That vantage point is awareness. You'll notice in many initiatory movies that extremes are exaggerated, so the mind can see structure. Shallow versus deep, giant versus tiny, powerful versus powerless, dream versus waking. The protagonist is thrown into both poles, not to choose one, but to destabilize identification. Extremes stretch perception until certainty cracks. In that crack, awareness has room to expand. By the story's end, balance is not bland middle ground, but flexible movement. The hero can now move fluidly between poles. That movement is integration in action. Symbols can do the same work. Consider the figure of Baphomet. It compresses opposites into a single image, male and female, human and animal, up and down, light and dark. The mind tries to categorize and fails. That failure is instructive. In the pause created by paradox, awareness becomes visible. The symbol does not tell you what to do. It disrupts automatic thinking. Its lesson is structural. Duality exists, but consciousness can witness it without collapsing. The Freedom Tower illustrates this concept structurally. Its base is a square, and its roof is also a square, rotated 45 degrees, two squares overlapping. This creates superposition, a single structure embodying dual perspectives simultaneously. Like Baphomet, it is a visual paradox. It is not merely symbolic. It's a geometric enactment of overlapping states. The structure itself holds tension while allowing movement through it. A metaphor for consciousness, capable of witnessing all polarities without collapse.